Okay. Superman review, my friends. I just got back from watching the film, so I have it fresh in my head. And of course, I had some time to talk about it with friends, a few folks from work. And yeah, jumping right into it, I think this is going to be a non-spoiler review, right? I don't want to get all that into spoilers because, yeah, I think it's best if you watch the movie by yourself. If you have strong opinions about it, or if you think like that may play a factor, I just rather stay away from that. So yeah, with regards to the movie itself, I thought it was somewhat mid, kind of meh. So yeah, let's just get the positives out of the way first, because I thought there was a lot of good stuff going on in the movie, and quite a bit of that relates to Superman, although some of the issues as well. When it comes to the Superman, like the intro, I think it's important to talk about the intro, like in any video game, book, or movie. I think the intro, it sets the tone for what the rest of the film is going to be. And unfortunately for Superman, it sets a bad, not a negative tone, but a repeating trope, I will call it, throughout the film that we never quite get away from towards the end of the movie. And it's Superman getting beat up. He does get the ever-loving fuck beat out of him, beat out of him the whole movie. And there's moments of triumphs here and there, but they feel like they are undercut by the intervention of other characters, or him finding himself in the position of needing to be saved by others. And you can do that, but not all the time, I would think. Let's start with the casting itself. Superman, I think, is great. He looks great. I feel like there's a lot of passion coming from the actor, and I think that was one of my concerns going into the film, that they were not going to focus enough on Superman, which they do and they don't at the same time. But Superman himself, well cast, I think it's great. The story behind him, again, maybe not the best. At least this feels closer to hopeful Superman. But yeah, it needs a better script for sure. Like, I can tell you that I myself am not the biggest fan of Superman. He's not my favorite superhero character, not by a long shot. But even I can tell you, dude, it's still Superman, and he deserves a little bit more respect than what he gets. But we'll get to that. The rest of the cast, the villain, for example, Lex Luthor, I think he was remarkably well cast. I like the acting from, I forgot his name. I'm blanking on his name already. Jeez. Well, doesn't matter. The thing is, Luthor, it's fine, but there's some issues as well. In the way in which they portray the character of Luthor. Again, without going into too much spoiler, I am just going to say that very often than not, Luthor comes across as Lex Kylo Luthor. Just put a pin on that, and you guys let me know what you think, because it does come across that way, and that's not necessarily how Lex Luthor behaves, really. But fine. The rest of the cast is weird because the main Superman cast, the Daily Planet cast, the characters that help develop Superman, they're there and they're great. They're absolutely brilliant, I would dare say. And they're fun. They're fun, well acted, well executed. Lois Lane, good. Beautiful actress. Can't remember her name either, I'm sorry. We got the boss, Douchey, Jimmy Olsen. All of those characters are here, and they are very well executed and put into screen. Then you have the Justice Gang. Justice Gang, it's fine. A little bit pointless. The one that really felt like didn't need it to be in the movie was Hawkgirl. And they gave Hawkgirl one of the most awful, atrocious suits I have ever seen, and I don't know why. It's strange. It comes across as cheap compared to the other characters, and it's not like the costume design is the best we've ever seen, right? It's mostly passable. Superman's outfit himself, itself, the thing that I like is, I think the boots are fine. They could have been done a little bit better. The trunks, that's a must, so I'm okay with that. The other thing is the color. The blue color is not the best in the design. A lot of people have pointed to the suit being like the New 52 suit, which I would have preferred something like New 52 in terms of like tonality, like how dark the blue is. I think the blue from New 52 is fine. I just don't like the design in general, right? I think the one they put on the movie, on the film, it looks great because trunks, red, the cape, it's the best thing about it. I wouldn't change the cape. I would just add a little bit more blue to that suit. And I would go for the classic S because it makes no sense to use the Kingdom Come S if it doesn't have any purpose or meaning behind it, right? But that's comic book stuff. We can talk about it some other time. What else? Let's see. Well, that's mostly casting. Hawkgirl, not that necessary. Guy Gardner was very good. Wow. It was very good, and I find that character to be rather enjoyable. And it happens. There's too many characters, and instead of focusing on the Justice Gang, even though they're fun, you could have used some of that time to further develop the character of Superman with the Daily Planet and what his day-to-day life looks like, as well as what the day-to-day life looks like in Metropolis with Superman. So just throwing that out there. Then you have the scene stealer of the movie, and the one that everyone will be talking about and already are, Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, scene stealer. He's a great character. Personally, I can tell you that I haven't read that much from the character myself. It's not one of those that I have encountered all that much personally, right? But I have read less from DC, so it kind of makes sense. He was great. I believe they give him a little bit of superpowers because there's one scene where he might get injured or something, and he's like fine, and I was like, "Are you smart and maybe a little bit strong or just smart?" I was kind of concerned, pretty much. But other than that, he was great. He has great scenes, and like a highlight in the movie is him for sure. Throughout the whole film, he's actually very competent and very confident. I like that. He's a very good character. I get the feeling that James Gunn wanted to make a Mr. Terrific movie, but he couldn't. And so he had to do a Superman movie. And I get it, playing it close to the chest, but I don't think James Gunn was the best director for this film. Even though he incorporates a lot of the comic book stuff well, he's not the great at handling a hopeful traditional character, like, for sure. Let's see, what else? Well, the plot of the movie is kind of meh. Something that is very like off-putting throughout the film is the music. The music is just not all there. I wish it was, but it feels so awful. I don't have a problem with a character having a distinct theme, like the Avengers have their own theme. It shouldn't change. It's perfect the way it is. Another example, like from a completely different thing, James Bond has the iconic theme as well. It shouldn't change. It when you hear it, you think immediately James Bond. Star Wars, the first Jurassic Park movie, the only Jurassic Park movie, and maybe 3. Those are the only things that we should be like getting, and I'm fine with that. But James Gunn did that like techno pop thing. I don't like it at all. The way it sounds, and the rest of the music selection, it fails miserably in my opinion. James Gunn usually does this thing where he uses music that like fits a specific scene or action sequence. Here he fails. Not for whatever reason, it didn't work. And yeah, the music, they should have just gone with the classic Superman score, and that would have helped elevate the movie a little bit, at least. The other thing is the action and overall feel of the movie is fun. Again, it's a fun movie. I just don't think it's that great. Again, I think it's still a fun time, but it's a meme movie. It's the type of movie that you're going to forget about rather quickly. You may not remember much from that movie once you're out. Still a feel-good movie to a degree. The plot itself has its issues, and some of it revolves around Crypto being like kidnapped or stolen away from Superman because they enter the Fortress of Solitude. All of these are not spoilers because they are shown in the trailers, and unfortunately as well, the trailers, I don't know who was in charge of making the trailers for this film, but they just made mistake after mistake because the way in which the trailers play out are pretty much the pacing of the movie. And so if you've watched the trailers, you know pretty much the beat of the movie already. It's like, why are you even in the theater for? Kind of. I thought that was a mistake. But yes, the one of the things that I think is great on the film and is well established is the way they incorporate sci-fi elements and that very out there concepts, pocket universe, and all that stuff. I think they use that to great effect, and is a very satisfying thing. Some of the rumors were true, some were false. I can tell you for a fact that Brainiac isn't in the movie, thankfully, because it's already overcrowded as it is, and they should have focused more on Superman. The other thing that I would criticize has to do with, and like getting more into the bad stuff, is Superman himself and Lex Luthor. Like, these characters are supposed to be stoic and like very restrained. Like, they are characters that have like a specific posture, mannerisms, demeanors, and they don't show that. They're supposed to be stoics sitting on the opposite lines, right? Good versus like evil, or different points of view, whatever. The thing is, Kylo. See, I can't help but think of Kylo when I think of Lex Luthor in this movie, and he behaves like a petulant child, which is not the way I think Lex Luthor should be depicted ever. Like, Lex Luthor is someone who has like a certain demeanor, and he has posture. He's a guy who wants to command a great deal of authority. He handles himself with a degree of class, of elegance, and what he does in whatever evil schemes he's preparing for Superman, he does it, but with subtlety, with elegance, and he's not afraid of confronting the Men of Steel face to face on dialogue. Right? There's a moment where you think that's going to happen, and it gets undercut by a bad joke. There are a few bad jokes, not that many. It's not that intrusive as I thought it was going to be. But unfortunately, again, James Gunn can't help but be James Gunn and incorporate some of that crappy humor. Like, and it's sad. It's just sad to see because I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is still his best movie. But 2 and 3, good moments with bad humor, like awful, I would say. There's a little bit of those elements in the Superman movie, not to the degree that I thought they were going to be presented with. It's just not to the degree that I thought they were going to be. So it's somewhat okay, I guess. Tolerable. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, I don't like the way in which they portrayed Lex Luthor at all. And Superman as well. Superman gets not only beaten down multiple times, which greatly comes from a complete misuse of his powers, which is weird because all of his superpowers appear here, like super strength, mostly invulnerability, hit vision, super speed, X-rays, the freeze breath. They're all here, but for whatever reason, when you would think it's natural for him to respond in that way, or like Superman is built to pretty much he's well equipped to answer any of these situations or engage in battle and use them in a variety of ways that would be beneficial to the circumstances, and for whatever reason he doesn't. And this is the thing, you would think, oh, you're nitpicking, but my guy, the movie tells you, and this is the problem with not making origin stories, which personally I like, and I get it, sometimes it's not necessary, and it's well handled here mostly. But the problem is, when you open your film stating that Superman is already well regarded as the most powerful meta-human out there, and he has 3 years of experience, you open yourself to criticism to poorly constructed action sequences. Because again, he should be able to like counter enemies a little bit more quickly or more efficiently, just via the factor of him having more experiences, right? Like he's already been through it, and this is the first time he's being defeated. It makes sense. I don't have that many complaints about him being defeated at first because they explain why, and I was like, okay. Like my logic with Superman is he's not unstoppable. If you give him an actual challenge, you have a movie, you have a fight, you have conflict. If you want to go on the physical route, right, like a Kryptonian versus a Kryptonian, there you have problems because they can hit as hard as he can and they can potentially hurt him or even kill him, right? Like, that's good. That's great. So I thought that was well handled in the movie. The kryptonite element is well handled in the movie, and they mention it, they address it, so that's cool. It's always cool. What else? Yeah, there's a few inconsistencies here and there, but Superman also gets disrespected, which is weird because to me, Superman should be able to command authority, respect, and trust. Those three things I think are fundamental to the character of Superman. And all of these he does by way of his posture, the way he speaks, the way he's so eloquent. All of these factors go into making a good Superman. And they are absent in the movie, unfortunately. And to the detriment, because those elements could have made the movie better overall. And maybe it could have given the movie like a 7. But as it stands right now and everything else, I think it's a 6. The movie is pretty much out there in the hands of the fans and the normies because they do play a factor, right? I have heard from DC some people liking it a lot, some people not too much, some people being like, I like it, but I don't think it's better than Man of Steel. It's weird. I think to a degree is better than Man of Steel because of the more colorful, hopeful approach. It's kind of there, but the theme itself of hope is kind of absent in the movie as well. And I was like, it's weird. That's the one thing that you should come out of the movie with, after a Superman movie especially. But yeah. What else? Crypto again. He wasn't like as annoying as some people make it out to be. I would argue, go watch the film. It's a fun time. Unfortunately, it's not like a transcendental movie like one of the best superhero movies out there. Unfortunately, it won't be. It's kind of meh. It sets some of the first building blocks or the foundation for what hopefully will be a healthy DC universe. And I thought Green Lantern at some point was going to fight Superman. I would have included that fight. Green Lantern, Guy Gardner's Green Lantern versus Superman. It would have been fun just to like show how powerful Superman is and the fact that, bro, know your place, right? Again, Superman does it, but not out of the need of like showing his powers off or anything like that. Or he does it as, I want to teach you a lesson that I already learned myself, right? Which is restraint, self-control, the value of life. That element is there, and he's actually saving lives in a couple of scenes, which is great, but it's lacking in some other aspects, and they never fully compensate. And the action, I think it suffers mostly from the Invincible factor. If you have seen Invincible, the fights in that show are so insane that they make this one fall kind of short. Even removing the violence, right? You don't need to go all that violence like Invincible does, which is fine, perfectly fine. And here is just not all that creative. Sometimes the camera does some interesting stuff. Sometimes it doesn't, like putting characters like right in front of you and you can't see what's going on. That's somewhat annoying, poor choice on James Gunn. But yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys thought, what you guys think, right? Or thought about the movie. Again, I think it's a fun time. It's just not that memorable. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and see you guys next time because we're talking Fantastic Four as well.